Hi everyone, welcome back to Level Up with Dawn. Today we'll be talking about my real estate strategy and why I decided to do things this way, because not everyone does it the way that I decided to. Um so what you would normally see with people who decide to make real estate their business, um, they look for the most cash flushed or the best cash flows when it comes to real estate. So it's important for them to be in the green as soon as possible, if not immediately, when it comes to their real estate investments. So then that would mean either buying the property, renting it out, and the rent minus the bond is positive, right? And you can cover all of your expenses with that profit and still have some extra money in the bank. And then also, because of that, they have their bonds for the full amount, for the full tenure of the bond, right? So if they have a 20-year loan, they're going to have that loan for 20 years because they're trying to minimize the monthly expenses that they have. And so paying extra money into the bond is not, that's not a thing, because we're trying to make profit from month to month. um I don't subscribe. I don't subscribe to that. Also, on top of that, like, some people buy properties with the view that this is going to appreciate over time and I'm going to sell it. So I'm going to have, so think about it this way. You buy property, it is 100,000 rand. You know you can rent it out for 5,000 rand a month, and you know your bond is 3,000 rand, right? So now you know, okay, rates and taxes are an extra 1,000 rand. So you buy that property, you have your 5,000 minus your 3,000 of your bond minus your 1,000 of rates, utilities, XYZ, and you left with 1,000 rand profit per month from day one, right? So, and also you are paying your minimum required on your bond. You're not trying to pay extra. You're not trying to look good to the credit man. Like, who cares? We're paying what we need to pay, and we realizing profit immediately. So you do that for 5 years, because you know that this property that you bought is in an upcoming neighborhood. Currently, things are a bit disheveled, a bit, a bit undesirable, but government is putting money into infrastructure. This is one of the targeted neighborhoods. So you know your property is going to increase in value quite quickly. And so if 5 years, you have the view that 5 years down the line, you're going to sell it. And when you do choose to, let's say it's 300,000. So you have a 300% capital growth in your property. So now you've been making profit per month, which is great. And when you get to the end, you making a 200,000 rand profit on the actual price of the property. And then you just, take out the loan that you had, whatever's left at that point, and then you're left with cash, and you just keep doing that on and on and on and on, which is great, which is a good strategy, and it works for a lot of people. And this strategy within itself allows people to make this their day to day, to make this their living, to live off of that, because you are realizing profits now. Your cash flows are a lot better. Okay. I, on the other hand, I'm never gonna sell. I'm never gonna sell. My goal is, and of course, this is everything that I'm about to say is not to say that the other strategy doesn't lend itself to that, but it lends itself to that in other ways. I'm choosing to do it in this way, right? I'm trying to create generational wealth. Okay. I have a son, I'm gonna have more kids. I want my children's grandchildren to be good. Like, And I know that's the sacrifice that I have to bear so that my children after me are good. Like my children, my children's children's children. So I'm not gonna ever sell my properties. And so then I know the value that I'm getting is gonna be pseudo in certain ways. So I'm not gonna be getting cash flow advantages, but I'll be getting net asset value advantages. So with that in mind, with my properties, I'm trying to pay them down as much as possible. So with property, I take it in my name, so they have to use my financials to make sure that I can afford it, which is like my salary and that kind of stuff. And so when I have a bond, they would order me, and like at that time of the month is my salary that's coming in. So yeah, my salary, I haven't gotten rent yet. They're taking money out of my salary, but because of my salary they deemed I could afford it. Then when the rent comes in, I don't take that rent to pay myself back. I take that rent and I put it into the bond. So I'm trying to pay double the bond amount every month, right? This is, keep in mind, we're still on one property. So I'm taking all that rental income, putting it in. Also, if I have, also now my mindset has shifted in the way that now I'm going to view this bond as my savings account. So if I can't go and get a fixed deposit or a money market account that gives me a positive interest higher than the negative interest I'm being charged on my bond, then I'm putting all my money into my bond, because that in itself is me saving my interest amount, right? It's like I'm not getting cash in the sense of investment, but I'm paying less by putting that money in there. So that's what I do, and I just pump cash into that thing to the point where, I mean, I know in the metrics. So don't get me wrong, when I am purchasing property, it has to make sense. I have to know that the bond and the rent are not far from each other. Like, I need to be able to pay the bond with the rent, definitely. But that doesn't mean I'm not still gonna pay the bond with my salary as well, because my goal is different. So I'm paying money into this bond. Any extra cash I have at the end of the month, I'm paying into this bond. Um, if I get a bonus at work, I'm paying that into the bond. If I pay myself from my company, I'm paying that into the bond. So everything, if I find a 50 cents under the couch, I'm, I'm paying that into the bond. I'm laughing because that's actually true. Like, that's actually true. I found a piggy bank. I found a piggy bank the other day that I hadn't cracked open. And I went to the bank and I said, just deposit it into my bond account. Every rand counts. Like, don't discount it. Those extra 5 rands, those extra 50 cents, like, when I save, I'm a serial saver. And if I'm using my bond as my savings account, it becomes a game. Like, okay, when can I change that 9 to an 8? When can I change that 8 to a 5? Like, it's a game for me, and it's thrilling, and I find joy in it. So that's definitely, like, I focus on that a lot. So a few lump sums before that bond is paid off, then I start looking for another property. And again, it has to make sense. Rent has to be equal to or more than the expected monthly repayment that I'm going to be paying. So start looking, And also because I've paid off this bond so quickly, you know, the bank is like, looking good, looking right. We happy to give you this bond. And also the fact that it has rental income, they're happy about that. So then I get that bond. Now here's where I make it systematic. So I always have a bond that I'm focusing on. And so now with this bond that I was almost finished and I was getting a new bond with rental income. So now with this new bond, my salary is being deducted for the monthly repayment, right? But then there's still rent coming in. But that rent that comes in from the second property is not going to go to that second property's bond. It's going to go to the first property's bond because we're focusing on this one. This one we're getting to 0. So that now starts adding to that, right? And you all those rentals come, but the minimum on the second one is being paid. So now we like the payment of the first bond is being accelerated because there's a second rental income coming in. And so that's what I do. And then I pay that bond off completely. And now I have a property that's bond free, that's in earning rent that's good because it made sense when I first got it. And I mean, all I have to pay on that is rates, taxes, and utilities. Now, because that's bond free, the new bond, or the only standing bond now, which used to be bond 2, well, it is bond 2 because it's the second bond I've ever gotten. That's the focus. Now we're paying into that one. So that rent from the paid off property is going into this bond. The rent from this bond is going into this property now, right? And so we paid off. But now I get another one, right? Because I tested out the waters with my first 2 bonds, and the banks were happy with me having 2 bonds that were earning rent that was covering the bond, right? Now I no longer have one. So I have 1 bond, but the bank has appetite for me to have 2. So I get another one. And that one is also earning rent, and that rent is also covering the bond. But now because we're focusing on this one, the rent from number 3 is going into this. The rent from number 2 is going into this. The rent from number 1 is going into this. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what's happening here? I'm creating a snowball. I started a snowball of rental income, and I'm creating an avalanche. Like soon I'm gonna have 10 properties paying off 1 bond, 20 properties paying off 1 bond, to the extent where I won't need a bond because I'm going to just have enough cash flows to buy things cash. But I like the process of a bond just because of the checks and balances that it offers in terms of valuations and all those things. But yeah, so we have 3 properties, 2 bonds, focusing on paying off 1 bond, 3 rental incomes into that bond, and the salary, that salary deposit, remember, from my salary. And then also my third one, we're paying the minimum. So in essence, there's like 4 cash flows going into 1 bond from my salary and from the 3 rentals. Then I pay that off. Now I have 2 properties without bonds, still earning rent that makes sense. 1 property with a bond here that's making rent that makes sense. And again, the bank has appetite for me to have 2 bonds. So I'm going to give the people what they want. And I'm going to get another bond. And I'm just, that's my thing. What is it? It's an avalanche. We're building. Our snowball is growing. It's a domino effect, if that's what you want to call it. But that is my strategy. And it's really come in handy, especially now during the pandemic. And I made it clear that I want to be getting properties during this time because prices are gonna go down. And I mean, people are working from home now, and if you have top-notch properties, people will invest if they have the money. People will invest in a good place that they can call home and work, right? So I mean, this could be a good time for two-bedroom apartments. This could be a good time for two-bedroom apartments, but that's another video. So that's what I'm doing. I'm essentially building an avalanche of rent, but I'm still at snowball level. And this really helped me with the home buying process, because when I go to banks asking for a loan, and I'm asking them for a loan on a property that is earning rent already, right? And then I'm showing them, oh, hey, I also have rent from these properties that are bond free, as a natural person, not as a business. It gives them so much more comfort. So, yeah, like that's how I'm conducting things. And it's been working for me. And it works for me because those properties that I've paid off, those are for my kids, those are for my grandchildren. I mean, it's also for me, obviously. Like, I'm gonna reap the benefits of the rent and all of that stuff as we live life, but no one can take that away from me. Like, who's gonna repossess that? It's mine. Okay, I have the title deeds in possession. So, and also that, like, that's what happens. Maybe I should do a video on that. Like, what happens when you pay off your bond? I'll do that. So, yeah, that's my strategy. I don't, obviously, it's not gonna work for everyone, and it's taxing. It really is taxing in terms of that whole curbing your current enjoyment for future purposes. But yeah, I'm in a growing stage. Like, I know that right now I'm building. I'm sowing seeds. I'm planting. Whatever other metaphor you want to add, like that's what I'm doing. And the harvesting stage, the reaping stage, the ribbon cutting stage is coming. It's coming. And because of the way that I'm building with this avalanche style, I have a feeling it's going to be coming soon. But yeah, I hope this video helped you. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like, and please subscribe if you enjoy content like this. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.